we bring you a series of reports on the deadly bus crash that occurred in Taiwan on February 13. We learn about how smartphones can be utilized to help those who are visually impaired in their daily life. Welcome to DaAi Headlines. I'm Siri Su. Thank you for joining us. We begin today's program with a series of reports on the deadly tour bus accident that occurred in Taiwan on the evening of February 13th. There's speculation that the low cost of tour operated by DaAi Travel Agency may have led the bus driver to be overworked. Currently, the travel agency has been ordered to cease their operations. Meanwhile, the president of Taiwan and the mayor of New Taipei City both paid visits to the funeral parlor to offer their condolences to the bereaved family members.
After the tour bus accident occurred on Highway 5 on the 13th, the very next day, President of Taiwan, Tsai Ing-wen, and her team personally visited the funeral parlor to offer her condolence to the family members of the deceased. New Taipei City Mayor also paid a visit to try to comfort the families.
For the average residents, we have accidental subsidies of $150,000. For those in the mid to low income bracket, it's $300,000. For those considered low income, it's $500,000. Of course, if funds for funeral arrangements are needed, we can work with the Taipei City government to provide something for the families.
We request the mayor to do something for us, to give them a structured work system without long working hours and them being overworked. The vehicles must be periodically checked and the company must have safety procedures in place. Is one person's life really not worth that much?
Sutra chanting at the funeral parlor continues as Tzu Chi volunteers arrived 3 hours after the incident and stayed to offer comfort. They also prepare hot food to warm stomachs in hopes these family members can have a temporary shoulder to cry on.
Tomorrow morning, the volunteers will come back, as there are still a few bodies which haven't been identified. So we plan on being here to lend a comforting shoulder, as well as prepare some hot food for the families. Afterward, volunteers will follow up with these victims' families to care for their well-being. This falls into the spectrum of our home visitation team, so they will individually care for them.
This accident came unexpectedly and at such a big magnitude that no one knows how to deal with mentally. Yet Tzu Chi volunteers continue to offer their support to the victims' family members in hopes that they can live out the rest of their days without much suffering.
After Tzu Chi volunteers learned about the accident, volunteers set out immediately to assist in any way they could. From the night of the accident to the very next day, Tzu Chi Foundation dispatched over 1,000 people to help chant sutras as well as comfort family members of the deceased.
On this night, the temperature is as cold as ice. On this night, families mourn for their loved ones. Body after body are brought out from the wreckage, while Tzu Chi volunteers chant sutras to bless the dead.
When we got here, we saw the body bags lined up, so we began to chant sutras for them on the scene. We also contacted other volunteers to come join us. Currently, we have about 30-some people here.
This tragic accident on the night of February 13th on Highway 5 has left at least 30 people dead. When Tzu Chi volunteers heard of the news at around 10 p.m. that night, they immediately contacted their counterparts to action. They quickly arrived at the scene to chant sutras as well as bring snacks and water for the search and rescue team.
The search and rescue team are thirsty, so we brought them some water. And it's quite windy and cold today, so they wanted some ginger tea, and we quickly boiled some for them.
Besides assistance at the scene of the accident, Tzu Chi volunteers also comforted those at the Taipei City Mortuary Services Office second funeral parlor.
When the families came, they of course couldn't accept the passing. But as this is what has already happened, we hope they can let go. We try our best to comfort them.
The entire day on the 14th, Tzu Chi volunteers mobilized over 1,000 people, including team members to help the family members at the mortuary.
This type of situation is always hard to accept, so we're here to assist them and comfort them.
As for the injured, as of February 14th, they were sent to 7 different hospitals. Volunteers are also stationed at the hospitals in hopes of comforting the family members to get through the difficult days ahead.
As for the survivors of the tour bus accident, they were sent to 7 different hospitals. Let's get an update on some of their conditions.
The lucky survivors from a tour bus accident on Highway 5 as of February 14th include 3 people at the Taipei Medical University Hospital, 2 of whom are in critical condition. One male survivor has suffered a major brain hemorrhage and is considered to be the most critically injured. Thankfully, the hospital believes his condition is improving after treatment.
2 of the more severe patients are seeing signs of improvement. This is the current situation.
I want to thank Taipei Medical University Hospital for their assistance in this emergency. The injured are showing stable vital signs.
The injured are treated at 7 different hospitals. As of February 14th, TMUH has the most patients with 3, while the rest of the 8 have been sent to other hospitals, such as Taipei Tsuji Hospital and the Tri-Service General Hospital. For the patients at the Taipei Tsuji Hospital, one of them suffered from facial damage, with the hospital scheduling emergency surgery.
The most important factor is that it will affect how the person chews. If the broken jaw is repaired and is not lined up correctly, then it will affect the patient in the future.
This major incident has not only shocked society, but has brought much spiritual damage to the injured and families of the deceased.
Since the bus crash happened as the tour group was heading back to Taipei after a day of sightseeing at Wuling Farm in Taichung, it shows that accommodation could be a problem there. Here's more about the popular sightseeing destination.
Wuling Farm is known for cherry blossoms, drawing hordes of visitors to the area as the parking lot is full of tour buses. The farm has limited overnight accommodation, meaning that most of the people simply do day trips.
We capped the number of daily visitors at 6,000, and for those who stay in our accommodations, the daily capacity is almost 1,800 people. So most people choose to do single-day trips.
As Wuling Farm cherry blossom season arrives, strict traffic control measures go into place, with most people choosing to ride tour buses or minibuses, which clog the road.
For groups that come, we have daily capacity of around 20 large coach buses and 10 minibuses.
Many also take public transport up the mountain, including Capital, Guoguan, or Fengyuan bus and others. On the morning of February 14th, one Guoguan bus drove into a roadside ditch, though fortunately no one was injured. Some tour bus drivers say day trips to Wuling Farm can be physically exhausting.
One day I drove for 10 hours, as some itineraries even lead the trip to go to even more distant areas.
Wuling Farm is a popular tourist attraction which draws a large number of tourists each year, though more planning should take place with regard to accommodations and traffic to improve the safety of all tourists to the area.
In the Philippines, a large fire broke out in Quezon City on February 12th, which affected more than 300 families. After hearing about the news, Tzu Chi immediately reached out to provide assistance on the next day.
As Quezon City has a large population, once the fire breaks out, it usually causes great damages. A fire recently gutted a local residential block, displacing 300 families or affecting 1,500 people.
When I found the blaze growing, I shouted, "It's on fire! It's on fire!" Then everyone started to run out of their homes. The fire grew so fast and fierce, and we were unable to take our belongings.
After hearing about this, Manila Tzu Chi volunteers immediately pitched in to provide relief assistance. As there are many Tzu Chi members in this area, volunteers came to determine everyone's needs.
I had once been a fire victim before. This time they're affected by the disaster and they have lost everything. So I'll try my best to help them regain their confidence.
We will accept with joy whatever assistance Tzu Chi provides.
Meanwhile, another group of volunteers bring shovels to the fire site to help fire victims look for their belongings. They also sent the Tzu Chi mobile kitchen to provide hot meals. Students from Korea even actively joins to help out.
Of course, I'm feeling good and then I'm feeling nice because we help someone.
Thanks, Tzu Chi, for providing food for us. I hope you can continue to help the less fortunate like us. Thank you.
Tzu Chi's hot food is delicious. This is really a big help. At least my children will no longer suffer from hunger. Today, they had their first meal after the disaster. Your assistance eases our worries.
All of the volunteers feel at ease as they see the fire victims feeling warmth and love after eating the hot noodle soup provided by Tzu Ji.
While smartphones may be a source of addiction for many who seem to be glued to their screen, this technology can actually be quite useful to the visually impaired. The Read Aloud function on many phones is particularly useful as it allows people to go online. One foundation has even begun to collect second-hand iPhones and also hosted a number of games, including karaoke for the visually impaired.
This song illustrates the fate of many visually impaired people who may face many ups and downs in life.
Now the right eye has no sensitivity to light, and the left eye only has a very slight amount of vision, with doctors saying the concept of blindness could be delayed by taking drugs. Being alone can cause me to panic, which is the biggest psychological barrier.
For the visually impaired, feeling secure is one of the biggest challenges and the major hurdle that they need to cross. A visually impaired karaoke competition was recently held, with all the contestants being visually impaired. The first step in the game is to operate a karaoke app on a smartphone and then start singing. While the performance on stage wasn't very entertaining, visually impaired members of the audience don't seem to notice, as they simply listen to the world through their ears. The organizer of the event even demonstrated how to use a smartphone to teach them this technology.
They used to just listen to people speak, but now they are using their smartphones to do different things. Everyone is interested in Facebook friends now or other network communication. We always hear people talking, but we have no way to experience that or what they are talking about in the chat.
Smartphone for the visually impaired is something that many have only heard about, but have never actually touched. Many now have the chance to operate one, with this self-filmed video expressing thanks.
非常感谢您捐赠 iPhone 手机给我，目前我还是个大学生。
Because of her blindness, she has few interpersonal relationships when she was young, as her smartphone plays a very important part of her life.
我觉得很重要，真的很重要。
I think the smartphone is very important to me as it makes me more like other people, as I can go places and check in and learn about my friends and what they are up to.
在更多地方能够关注更多朋友他们最近的一些状况。
While many people seem to be addicted to smartphones, this technology is actually drawing them closer to those who are visually impaired.
A visually impaired person is not only confined to doing work as a master, so he can now do diverse type of work.
Smartphone is now like a personal assistant, but for the vision impaired, it may be more difficult to learn. For example, the 61-year-old visually impaired contestant encountered a number of problems just before the start of his karaoke performance. Despite the technical problems, the audience was very excited about the performance and gave him a great response, showing him that he is not alone.
很感谢基金会所有的同仁们辛苦了！惊叹号。
Facebook check-ins and messages are quite popular with many now. And while the visually impaired weren't able to do this, now they have the opportunity, which is a sort of blessing for the visually impaired.
After Tzu Chi volunteers held a concert to raise funds for Syrian refugees, staff of Hualien Tzu Chi Hospital also started a fundraising campaign to help refugees on Valentine's Day. For the occasion, many people expressed their concern for refugees and hope they could do their part to help. Clasping their palms, people are praying for the victims of a car accident that took place on Freeway Number 5. Staff of Hualien Tzu Chi Hospital are raising funds to help Syrian refugees. At this occasion, a film on the difficult situation of the refugee is shown, moving the viewers to tears.
Volunteers keep in mind the Master's resolution as they help these people. We do what we can to assist them.
The public respond by signing their names and taking actions to help those in suffering in different corners of the world.
We can help them with our money and effort. Although it is hard for us to understand what they've been through, we take actions to show that we care.
Reaching out to Syrian refugees, many members of the public hope that the refugees will eventually start a new chapter of their lives wherever they are. In Taiwan, Tzu Chi volunteers held welcoming ceremonies in Xindian, New Taipei City, and in Zhongli, Taoyuan for newly certified volunteers. Many people also brought their filled coin banks to the sites, ready to help those in need.
At the beginning of the new year, Tzu Chi volunteers hold a gathering for newcomers at the Xindian Jinshi Hall. Volunteers strike drums to pray for refugees worldwide. One businessman is willing to give of himself.
Taiwan is a small island, so its economy depends on its export. But when it makes money from around the world, it should pay back to the international community. That's why I want to help in this area.
New commissioners offer tea to senior volunteers and make vows for themselves.
Taiwanese people are very friendly, but I feel they still lack the spirit of unselfish giving and great love. I hope myself and those who are present today will uphold our aspirations in the days ahead.
Similarly, in Zhongli, Taiwan, volunteers use games to inspire everyone to donate for greater good. The atmosphere in the Buddha Hall is filled with New Year festivities. Every volunteer holds a coin bag to bring back the spirit of the bamboo coin bag era, when the master found Tzu Chi 50 years ago.
I put $1, $5, $10, or 100 in there. Although they are not much, they can still help those who need it. It makes me feel happy.
If I have extra money, I'll drop it in so I can help the poor.
Having worked together in Tzu Chi, they will continue walking the Bodhisattva path together in the new year.
In the United States, Auckland Tzu Chi volunteers hosted 2 prayer ceremonies to gather love for refugees all around the world. Besides putting on a variety of performances, volunteers also invited everyone to do good deeds. Let's join them there.
Auckland Tzu Chi volunteers from Northern California host 2 prayer ceremonies for local communities to ring in the new year. Many participants bring back their coin banks and carry out the acts of giving. Volunteers put on the performance of a sutra adaptation and presents Dharma principles through sign language. Volunteer Zheng Guangzhi also shares his experiences of walking the Bodhisattva path over the past year.
Today, you see Tzu brothers and sisters performing a sutra adaptation through sign language, along with the performance of drum and bells. The themes are all about love and care. I hope everyone can take action to do some good deeds.
To serve the community of residents from different races, service in 4 languages is provided at these 2 prayer events. This volunteer also invites everyone to be part of Tzu Ji.
Now I feel my life is more meaningful as I think I don't have enough time every day. Even though I have been busy recently, I hope everyone can join the Tzu Ji family.
After receiving the red envelope of blessing and wisdom, everyone is now full of joy as they all hope to become a part of the Tzu Ji family.
Tzu Ji volunteers in Chicago, Illinois recently held 2 Lunar New Year events, one for the worshippers of a Vietnamese temple and the other for the residents of Chinatown. These 2 events attracted a total of nearly 700 people. They gathered to pray for world peace and also donated their coin banks to help underprivileged people.
Chinatown residents close their businesses on the 8th day of the first lunar month and gather here to make their minds rich. Students of the Tzu Ji Chicago School of Humanities give a violin recital. There are also performances with drums and bells. While watching the video clips on disasters which happened last year, the audience is brought to tears.
Loving and helping other people as opposed to lighting candles. And what you give goes to help people all over the world, from Indiana to Africa, Europe. And I think that's what's called for, especially in these times.
The other Lunar New Year greeting event is attended by Vietnamese people. Someone purchases his coin bag, which is in the shape of a golden piggy, on a card to the venue, and he wrote these words on it: "Goodbye, honey, I love you." The owner uses this action to show his love.
I come here too many years already, so I know this association is the real association. And then I love for the method too, because I know what she do, that is real, that is true.
Adults and children brought their coin bags so they can turn their love into action. Master Minh Han of the Vietnamese temple has been participating in this event for 12 years.
For the Tzu Ji Foundation, year after year, develop more and more and well-mannered and well-organized. And we wish the Tzu Ji Foundation will become bigger, grow.
In the United States, Tzu Ji's actions are like an epitome of harmony that cuts across the religious and racial boundaries.
As Tzu Ji volunteers in Taiwan continue to raise funds to help Syrian refugees, Tzu Ji Academy in Cupertino, California of the United States also organized a charity fair to raise funds on behalf of refugee children. At the fair, delicious Taiwanese delicacies were sold to raise money. We'll leave you with these images. Thank you for joining us. Goodbye.